Jay, listen to this phrase, and I'm sure you've heard this before. I've always wanted to, but now I'm too old. Now, typically you hear this from people in their I'll say 50s, 60s, and 70s, who kind of tossed around the idea of maybe starting a consulting business, getting their real estate license. You know, maybe they make jewelry, maybe they like arranging flowers, whatever the case may be. So how can a person decide if they should take the plunge? And then ultimately, is anybody ever really too old to try?
No. The short answer, no. And yes, I have heard it. And sometimes it starts in the 30s. Sometimes it starts in the 40s. It don't just be those people, because are you too old for what, depending upon what it is they're trying to do. They might be, oh man, I'm not going to worry about playing basketball because I'm too old, And again, you in your 40s, you might be. Sometimes it's the truth. And that's the scariest part, because sometimes it is true, depending upon what it is. And that's all people need. All people need is an example for somebody to say, hell, I was too old to do it. So all that somebody needs is the rhetoric on social media. But nobody focuses on, oh, this person won. This person actually did it. And it usually goes in reverse when you think about negative things, but this is something positive. When you say that Colonel Sanders, started at 50, 60 something years old with KFC, nobody wants to hear that as much as they want to hear the negative portions. Samuel L. Jackson didn't start acting until he was in his 40s. And, people don't talk about that enough. They talk about the negative things of people starting late on doing something. You're starting to hear people becoming doctors in their 50s and being lawyers in their 40s. That's a real thing. It's up to you on how you want to do it. I think we have to start looking at life differently. We're looking at life like a kid got to be out of the house at 18. You don't. You really don't. A lot of times they don't know what the hell they're doing. Going to college, I seen the people who were over 25 that were in my classes. They got the straight A's and they were dead serious. They wasn't BSing around when it came to school, because they lived enough of life. Even if it was 7, 8, 9 years post high school, they knew exactly what they wanted to do. So they came in there and got busy. Where we coming in at 18 and we take 2 years before we start taking it seriously. The average person graduating college is graduating 5 or 6 years, not right on 4 years. So it's 2 years they playing around before they switched majors 3 times. They did all this other stuff. They not thinking, they just say, oh, I want to do this, but they ain't really research if it's jobs there, what the longevity of that career looks like, what they're going to have to do, except for the popular careers, But if you want to be an art history major, are you paying attention to what you're actually going to need to do to be successful and to be able to live? Where you're going to have to live at? All that stuff that comes with that. A lot of people aren't thinking that deep, especially not at 18 years old. And so when you starting it off and saying, okay, we're going to get this kid out the house at 18, and if they haven't done anything by 30, they feel like they lost. When your life is just starting. You're just starting to learn how to take certain things in and bring it out and make it into something, make it into money, make it into a career, make it into a great idea. You haven't had the time. So there's that timeline gets skewed from 18 years old when they say you need to be out and you're able to take care of yourself. When I would say maybe 25, maybe 28 is when the kid should be ready to go out on their own. They got a chance to make some mistakes. You go straight from kid to adult in no time. I think you need some time, not as much time as you had as a kid, but you need some free time as an adult to have an exploratory phase. That's why parents should do a better job of having things set up so the kid don't have to just rush and go home, go out there. Hey man, them 4 years they probably been in college, they can stay home. They can go and work. They can have a job each year. That's 4 different jobs, 4 different career paths. They can say, okay, you know what? I think I like this. Or they study, read, go abroad, go someplace else outside of just where they're from, so they can get more knowledge, wisdom, and understanding about life. So when they just left the house at 25, or they just went to college at 24, and they get out of college at 28, they're a lot more serious. So when they're 38 or 40, they're not feeling like they're too old to do anything. They're like, I'm comfortable. And then this bleeds into the 50 and 60-year-old person, because they're looking like, I planned on working this job from 40 to 60 and retiring, having a paycheck, having my healthcare situation sorted out. And then now I'm going to start my consultancy to finish my life, as opposed to having to be saying, hey, I'm going to live off of the money that I worked for the 20 years. No, a lot of times that doesn't work, but I did create a career that I can live off. I don't have to work as much, but I can make more money in those waning years, and I can live very, very well and very, very comfortable going forward. But I think if we start there, I think that's how we'll make people start changing and shifting that mindset.